Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And today, Alex and I are really excited to tell you all what we've been trying to work on for the last few weeks. So it's not a surprise to anybody that we have kind of outrageous links in our TBR right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost too much on our radar, I think, for us to figure out what's going on. But not only that, I think we have a very relatable problem, which is you see something you want to read, you go, I have to get it because I want to read it. And then you either buy the story or you add it to your list, and then it just gets buried. Like you have like a pretty book on your bookshelf, or you have this wonderful fully purchased story in your entire list of purchased stories that sits there untouched by man. And so today, Alex and I are starting to try to dwindle down that TBR, focus on stories that have been on our radar for an extended period, and kind of trying to make that list a little bit more easy to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So today we have picked 12 different stories that we are going to go through. We're going to roll the dice, see what's chosen for us. And then each of us will start on about 3 of the stories that have been on our radars, let you know what we think about it, what the story is about. And then it'll kind of kick off this great TBR breakdown for us.
Let's find out what our stories are.
So rolling for Alex, we have number 9.
Killer Crush.
I do have to say, full disclosure, I put this on the list for Alex, which is cheating, but I don't care.
Very convenient that I got it. First time.
You've been needing to read this one. It's time for you to get on the bandwagon.
I know.
So yeah.
Okay,
All right.
What's your first story?
So next roll for me, what is number 11?
A Tree Without Roots.
Okay. That was not on my list.
That is one from my list. That's actually one that I purchased when we looked at our Reels Recommends, and then I didn't read it for Reels Recommends.
You know, as one does, there were so many things happening and we get distracted. So it's fine. All right. Alex's second story is number 8.
Number 8 is A Need.
A Need.
A Need, yes.
Okay. So that's fun. A nice little, what do you call, Egyptian story?
Yes, and this was also my final purchase before our self-imposed buy freeze.
We're taking this serious, everybody.
Yeah.
We have to focus on what we own. Next for me, I got 11 again. So that's not going to work for me.
You really have to read that one.
So next for me is 3.
Solo for 2.
Solo for 2. I think it's an Omegaverse.
Is it?
I think it is.
It's a piano too, right? Or is
I think it's like a ballerina.
Oh, well, ooh, that sounds fun.
I'm excited. It looks great. All right. And last but not least for Alex, we have number 7.
Wind Beneath My Wings.
All right.
That is one that you picked. So excited to see what that one's about. I have no idea.
Okay. That's a good one. All right. And last but not least for me, number 2.
Number 2 is The House of Sisyphus, which I know you're looking forward
I'm
to.
so excited. This is a new story by the creators of Dangerous Convenience Store. And yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So we're going to read the beginnings of these stories, let you know what all these stories are about and what's worth reading and what's not. See you in a second.
Bye. Oh, welcome back.
Welcome back. We are, I think, really excited to talk about all of these stories.
I'm very excited. Everything I've read so far has been great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with like least favorite to favorite.
I'm going to go with order that I read them in.
Okay, I think that's fair. All right, so I'm going to start us out. The first story that I was given is called A Tree Without Roots. This is a story that was more on Alex's list than mine, but I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple of pictures from it, so, you know, had to take a look through. This was on Lizim with 78 episodes. It was also known as Boy Love Manipulative. So automatically I was like, okay, I'm probably going to like this and it'll be fine. So the story opens up And trigger warnings abound. If you are not okay with manipulative, emotionally and physically stories, then you should probably skip past this one. But the story opens up. You see somebody is chained up on the bed. There's a little bit of non-consensual things happening. And you see a blonde character tell this dark-haired male, you better not try to leave me again because you're here with me forever. So then we go back in time. We meet Hiseo, who is now known as that blonde character in the opening scene. He's a little deranged. I even put in my notes, deranged. So if that's not a good flag for you, I don't know what is. But Hiseo is a 19-year-old who we see now on the top of a building. He's threatening to jump off of. Mm-hmm. And the police come out. They're obviously trying to make it so that he doesn't hurt himself. And he does come down from the building after his schoolmate comes to get him. And they're like, ugh, not again. You do this literally all the time. And he does make it a habit. Like, I think they say he does it every week. He just stands on top of this building and acts like he's going to jump off.
Well, at least he has a routine.
Yeah. It's healthy to have a routine. So, he goes on top of this building. He comes back down and he goes home to see that he's received a birthday gift. So it's his 19th birthday. And as soon as he carries this gift inside, his mom's on the phone and she's in this like cheery voice and she hangs up and immediately treats him like garbage. You find out that it's his foster mom. She hates him, like neglects him entirely, takes his gift that is addressed to him and is like, you don't get this. And it's just really not great.
Yeah.
The phone call did allude to the fact that somebody, like some mystery person, is giving child support. But Hiseo says, I know it's not my mom because my biological mom is deceased. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of trying to figure out this mystery while also being entirely neglected and like shoved to his room. His mom even says he doesn't get dinner for the stunt that he pulled on the top of the building.
Yeah.
And, he just watches as his foster brother gets treated and like praised. The mom loves him.
Okay.
So the family goes to leave. They don't take Hiseo with him. Then he sets the house on fire.
Okay.
As you do, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't, but maybe someone does. And he is taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. And the reason he did this is because he's thinking, there's someone always looking out for me. He's like, as ridiculous as it is, everyone knows that it's kind of like an attention-seeking stunt when I stand on top of the building. But someone's always calling the police. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone knows I'm not going to jump off. So why do they call?
Yeah.
And then he goes, someone's paying my family, but I don't have any biological family left. So who would pay this foster family to take care of me? And who sends me a birthday gift every year?
Yeah.
Like, well, this doesn't make sense. He goes, well, if I put myself in danger, maybe I'll meet this person.
Does it work?
It works.
Wow.
Hiseo is hospitalized and he seems to be unconscious. And this mysterious benefactor is sitting next to him. And when Hiseo starts to stir, he goes to leave the room and Hiseo grabs his arm and he goes, I know your name. You're Cha Taek-young, which immediately catches him off guard. So Cha Taek-young does take him out to like a courtyard and he's like, ask me whatever you want. And Hiseo says, who are you? Why are you paying for all this stuff? Did you send my birthday gifts? Obviously, there are a lot of questions. Do you call the police? He's like, I'm just a rich person who sponsors foster children. Like, I just make donations and you just happened to be the person that I sponsor. And he's like, just look out for you. It's not a big deal. And he's like, well, why me? And he's like, nothing. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. I just do it for people, Goodbye.
Suspicious.
As he goes to leave, Hiseo goes, can you show me your back?
Okay.
Yeah, same reaction I had. I'm like, please, keep the clothes on. We're in a hospital. But he does. He shows his back. There's nothing suspicious. He just kind of like drapes his shirt over his shoulder and then like puts it back on. And Hiseo is like, didn't ask for any specific reason. Guess just wanted to see your back. Goodbye. And his classmate comes to visit him. The same classmate who stops him from jumping off the building, whatever else. And, he's kind of touched. He's like, I always kind of felt like I didn't have my roots here because like, I don't really have a family. I don't have people who care about me, but like, you're here for me. So thank you.
Yeah.
And she starts talking about how, you know, he should go and stay with her. Like, it just makes sense because he doesn't have a house to go home to. And her mom is recovering in the hospital from a surgery. And so Hiseo starts asking more questions. And he goes, oh, like, I thought you were so concerned about the money for your mom's hospital bills. Like, what are you talking about? Was she able to get it? And she's like, yeah, a mysterious benefactor, like, made all these donations. My mom was able to get the surgery, so she's recovering. And Hiseo's like, that's crazy. And he spills a bunch of water and asks her to go and get nurses to clean it up. And he steals her phone and sees that she's been communicating with Cha Taekyung. He's like, why the fuck does this guy care about me so much? So he uses her phone to text Cha Taekyung and says, oh my gosh, Hiseo jumped off the building and he needs to go into emergency surgery. And Cha Taekyung runs back to the hospital. And who's holding the phone but Hiseo? And he's like, okay, you fucking weirdo. You're stalking a 19-year-old and I'm going to go to the police unless you let me stay with you. So he starts blackmailing him and it works. So Cha Taekyung takes him back to his place. It is an absolute mansion. Like, way more room than he needs for one person. And Hiseo is like, I don't really understand, like, what this guy wants from me, what's going on, whatever. But there's just, like, this weird gut feeling. Like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but, like, something's not quite right. You see that Cha Taekyung, when he got home from his original talk with Hiseo, took a sticker off of his back, and he has this giant either tattoo or scar that looks like a tree on his back. So automatically it alludes to the fact that Hiseo's looking for that marking, and he had it hidden the entire time.
Interesting.
So now you're trying to piece together, like, what the hell is going on? And why would Hiseo be looking for the sticker on his back and assume that he had the markings on his back in the first place? And why is Cha Taekyung wearing a giant sticker on his back when he's going to meet this random person who's supposedly random? Obviously, something's not lining up. So Hiseo has this terrible nightmare. It alludes to his childhood where he was kind of living with his mom. They were both poor, and it seems like they were living out of one of the churches. So he would stay behind with a lot of the nuns, and they would kind of help take care of him. And the mom would go out and work and kind of like bring back stuff, and they would hang out in the evenings. And then in the dream, his mom is like holding him in a burning church, and then he shoots up awake and he's terrified. So he goes out for a walk, and he's just kind of looking around. And when he goes to go back into the house, a random person stops him, and they're like, who are you? Why are you breaking into this house? And he's like, I live here. The guy goes, no, you don't. You're like some 19-year-old who's probably trying to rob the place. Like, we get it all the time. If you are old enough, you're definitely going to be prosecuted. Like, you can be arrested for this and serve like actual jail time since you're not a minor anymore. So I suggest you leave. And Cha Taekyung comes home, and he's like, no, it's just a poor kid that, like, he's going to be here a couple days. Don't worry about it. And you learn that they are coworkers, and it is alluded to that he is a prosecutor. So Hiseo's a little curious about the dynamic, but he's pissed off that Cha Taekyung thinks that he's just going to be around for a couple days. He's like, you don't get off that easy, you fucking creep. You don't get to stalk me and run my life in the little background and then say that I have to leave you alone in a couple days. So he kind of goes out for another thinking walk. And when he comes back, he sees Taekyung and this other prosecutor or lawyer kissing behind the building. And Hiseo's like, I've got dirt on him now. Got a little bit of blackmail. So that's only 5 episodes in. And that's where I left off for today. It has been a journey already. And I think if there's anything I can compare it to, initial reaction straight off the bat is this is the toxic version or more toxic version of Stranger.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, there are obviously differences, but you've got kind of like the rich lawyer prosecutor taking in the teenager, which this one is at least like 19. Yeah. We don't have to talk about Stranger being all kind of weird with the ages. But yeah, I think I'm gonna continue reading this one. So thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm very interested to see more about whatever's going on with the back tattoo.
I know, honestly, kind of like it.
I'm going to read this one as well, especially since this was on my list originally.
Well, I read it first. So
That's fine. Another one that you read first is Killer Crush, and that is the first one that I read today. So this one is on Leeson. It's 77 episodes. It's a completed series. It is a comedy, celebrity, gangster boy love.
Yeah.
And this one is about Dae-hyuk, and he is an actor, like a super famous romance actor, and he is trying to branch out a little bit. So he wants to get into noir films, but he's kicked off of the film because he's not good at noir, and they're like, okay, it's early enough on, we're going to find a new actor because you suck at this. Stick to romance.
Poor guy.
He's heartbroken about this. And so his manager is trying to cheer him up and takes him to a convenience store. And while the manager goes into the convenience store, he sees Taemin, and Taemin is an assassin. So we've also seen Taemin be an assassin. He's there's like a gangster, and he's killing them all. And then he's having his own little inner monologue where he's like, you have to blend in, you have to do what you need to do, and you have to trade your face, and then you have to kill them all, and then he kills them all. Mm-hmm. And so then he goes back to his little job at the convenience store. But on the way, he goes past Dae-hyuk's car, and he sees that, or it's like a blackout window, so he's like looking in the window, kind of, which is a reason you should never look in blackout windows. You never know what's on the other side.
True. Good life lessons here.
Good life lessons. And Dae-hyuk is like, I need to find that guy because his face is perfect for noir films.
Yeah.
And I'm going to copy his face. Mm-hmm. So he goes and hunts this guy down at the convenience store, but then at the convenience store, he puts on his customer service face. And if you've worked in customer service, you know there's a special face you have.
Oh my gosh, isn't there ever?
And so he's got his customer service face on. Dae-hyuk is like, okay, this is not exactly what I was expecting. He does help him. The guy, so there's a guy at the convenience store, which he's just like a drunk old man. And he's like, if I only drink half of this liquor, can I pay for just half of this liquor? And of course, Taemin is like, no, you can't do that.
Nice try.
Nice try. We've all been there. We've all had the people who are like, can I do something crazy?
I know this coupon's expired by like 5 years, but can I still use it?
I know I bought these shoes over a year ago and then used them in a funeral, but can I return them?
I can't find the price tag, but is it free?
These aren't real examples or anything.
No, we're not bitter.
But anyway, so Taemin is like, no, he's trying to handle the situation. This old man is like on the floor throwing a tantrum. Worse than your 3-year-old daughter has ever thrown a tantrum.
I don't know about that.
She can scream.
Yeah.
But this guy was like pounding fist and feet, kicking and screaming. Mm-hmm. Awful. And Dae-hyuk is like, I'll pay for his. It's fine. So then he also gives Taemin a coffee, and Taemin is like, I love him.
Yep.
So then he goes back to his little assassin hangout spot, and he's got his friend Solyo and their manager, and he's talking to them, and he's like, I fell in love with this person at first sight, basically. And they're kind of like, what are you talking about? No, you didn't. This is crazy. And then he tells them that it's the guy on TV. And they're convinced that the only reason he was being nice to Taemin is because he's concerned about his public image, which makes sense.
I mean, not impossible.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, you just got to forget about it. Like, you just had a celebrity encounter and that's it. Mm-hmm. And so then they're going about their business. Dae-hyuk is like, I need to keep going back there because I'm going to get him to like make those facial expressions, and then I'm going to learn how to make those facial expressions.
Yeah, like a test subject.
Yeah. So he keeps going back there, and then Taman is still like, okay, I still really like this guy, but I don't really want to. He's getting advice from the manager, like, you can't do that. It's going to ruin you as an assassin. Like, everyone who falls in love, it's their downfall as an assassin. So then he goes to be Pavloved. That's not a verb. Pavloved. But I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but when I was growing up, we had some family friends and they had a dog named Pavlov.
Aww.
He was cute. That. Yeah. So he gets his friend at this point to try and help him to use aversion therapy so that he doesn't like Dae-hyuk anymore. So he's chained up in a bathtub with ice water, being injected in the neck and hit with a hammer while looking at pictures and videos of Dae-hyuk so that he won't like him anymore.
Like negative association.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be working, but he's trying. That's as far as I've gotten with this so far. I read 5 episodes in. I did also love they make movie references. There have been 3 so far. So the very first one I think is not as commonly known as the other 2. It's Leon the Professional. Mm-hmm. It's one of my all-time favorite gangster hitman movies. Mm-hmm. And it has Natalie Portman as like, it's one of her earliest roles. She's like pretty young in it. And it's absolutely a great movie. So that was referenced in it. I loved it.
You asked me, you're like, oh my gosh, is this Leon the Professional?
No, Leon the Professional. I said, do you know what this is?
Yeah, I was like, no clue.
And then they have the God Uncle. A reference to The Godfather. That one's pretty easy to pick up on.
Yeah.
And then the last one was A Clockwork Orange, which they didn't say what it was, but that's when they're showing the negative association because that also happens in A Clockwork Orange. Yeah. Very excited to see any more movie references they make because I love movie references. And this one is so funny. Yeah. So funny so far. I'm only 5 episodes in, but I love it. I'm definitely going to keep reading it. You've been telling me to read it forever. And look at you over there sitting all smug.
Toss.
And of course you were right.
Yeah. I mean, we're both right most of the time. So yeah. I'm so glad you like it.
I love it.
I'm glad you got this one because I wanted you to read it.
I'm pretty happy that it was the first one I got too. You were like, I'm going to put this one on here so that you can get it. And I did right away.
Fate is really just on our side.
It really is.
Well, the next one that I have is also kind of a fated story. So super excited to get into this one. This is Solo for 2. I think earlier I might have mentioned that I thought it was an Omegaverse. I have no idea what story I thought I was talking about. It's not this one. There's no Omegaverse reference here at all. But this is a beautiful story. Like, the artwork took my breath away. Yeah. Loved every second. Like, told myself, I'm like, okay, I have to move forward and keep reading other stories. And then, like, would read the next episode. So, the story takes place in Austria in 1911. And it opens up at this inn where people are eating in the restaurant attached to it. And you see these 2 seemingly rich or well-off people kind of talking there. They're introduced as Carol Clements and as Julian Ludwig. Julian is of noble birth. He's like got more money than he knows what to do with. He's kind of just like spoiled little rich kid. And Carol looks identical to him, but they're like found brothers because Carol worked for the Ludwig family as like the butcher's son, and the Ludwig family brought him in and was like, you know, Julian's an only child. He needs a brother. It builds character, you know, and he needs someone to go through life with. So they just kind of like adopted him as their own. We're like, we don't care if you're of a lower status. You can, you know, be Julian's brother and go through life together. So Carol, in that sense, kind of lucked out.
Yeah.
But Carol and Julian are talking at this table, and Julian kind of like scoffs off and says like, oh, look at that beggar in the corner. Like, he has nothing to eat, super skinny, whatever. And you see this just beautiful, like pale-skinned, dark-haired man sitting in the corner. Pretty like skinny and like definitely dirty. Like, just doesn't look like he really fits in. And Julian's like, I mean, I guess we have leftovers. Do we give him some of our food? You know? And he's like, well, I don't want to take it. So he gives it to Carol to take over. And Carol goes and takes the plate. And he's like, hey, are you hungry? Like, you can have this food. And they realize really early on there's a language barrier. Like, they don't understand each other. So Carol's like, enjoy the food. And he leaves the food and he walks away.
Yeah.
And he's immediately like, that's the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life.
And you agree?
Yes. Carol, also one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. So the day goes on. Carol and Julian both get their own rooms, and Carol cannot stop thinking about the beggar. So he goes downstairs and he's talking to people. He's like, do you know where he went? And they're like, oh, he's a pain in my ass. He's staying in the barn, but like he'll freeze on a night like this. So, you know, you can kick him out or whatever if it's bothering you. And Carol goes in there and he invites the beggar up to his room. And he's like, please, like, take a shower. You can sleep in the bed. You know, it's fine. Of course, there's a language barrier. He doesn't really understand. But when you hand somebody a towel and a robe, you know, and show them to the bathroom, they kind of figure it out. So this beautiful man takes his shower. He's even more beautiful, of course. And he just kind of looks like he's shaking, like a leaf. Like, he just looks scared. And so Carol's like, okay, I think he's beautiful. He's just like kind of the most gorgeous person I've ever seen, but like, don't scare him. I'm sure you're kind of intimidating. He doesn't speak your language, whatever. And so they lay next to each other. There's like some rustling in the bed, and he's like, oh my gosh, are we like both feeling a mutual attraction? And Carol like turns around and looks like he's going to kiss him. And then he sees that the guy just looks like scared. And so he turns back over and he's like, okay, good night. So the next morning, Carol wakes up and he leans over and he's like, oh, good morning. And he realizes that the beggar is burning up, has like a terrible fever. So he's like running out of the room trying to find a maid at this inn to see if somebody can get some medicine and or some soup, something to help. And on the way out the door, he runs into Julian. And he's like, Julian, I thought you'd sleep in. It's kind of the weekend of our trip. And he's like, yeah, I did sleep in, you jackass. Like, do you realize what time it is? You slept in. Like, let's go get lunch. And Julian can kind of tell that Carol's like, I kind of want to go back for something, but he doesn't push on it. And they go to lunch. You find out that while Carol was like grabbing all of their bags and everything and getting everything coordinated, Julian goes up to the room to see what he might have forgotten. And the maid is like, oh, there's a sick patient in there. Can you give them this medicine and this soup that was paid for? And he takes it in and he sees the beggar. And Julian, as an educated noble, speaks Russian, which he knew immediately was going to be this man's first language. So Julian and this man have a conversation. He's like, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Russia. I can't believe you speak Russian. And he gets all excited and his face lights up. And he takes the medicine and they're talking. And he goes, did you steal something from my friend? And he's like, no, I was going to give it back. Don't worry about it. And Julian's like, look, I'll give you a bunch of money. Just leave him alone. We don't want to see you anymore. We don't want any trouble. Like, just don't follow us, whatever. And the guy's like, you don't understand. He's like, then do you want to come with us? We're going to Russia. And then we'll be coming back to Paris. And before they can even finish that conversation, the guy's like, I'm not going back to Russia. Like, I'm not doing it. Sorry. And he goes, well, at least give me your name. And the guy says, my name's Saskia. And Julian's like, okay, then leave me alone. I don't ever want you running into my friend again. And like, just leave it be. And so the guy goes, okay. And he like grips the money that he was given. And they just kind of part ways. Carol, however, they go to lunch and he tells Julian like, hey, I need to like go back for something. And Julian's like looking at his nails. He's just like, oh, is it that beggar guy? The little call boy that you had. And Carol's like, he's not a call boy. Like, you have the wrong idea. And he's like, he was laying in a robe in your bed. He's like, literally nothing happened. And so they go back and forth. And Julian goes, you're a brother to me. What you're wanting to do with that call boy is illegal. And he's like, but, you know, we're going to continue on our trip. It's no big deal. You can just find somebody who looks like that and we'll just, you know, you'll get it out of your system, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they go on their next stop on the road and they're visiting a friend named Duchess Rambouillet, who is of like French noblewoman status, but she married a czar in Russia. Mm-hmm. So they're staying as a guest in the house, and immediately Julian introduces Carol to the Duchess because he's like, oh, you guys will get along great. And you find out it's with nefarious reasons. He's kind of looking for a connection to that family, and Madame Rambouillet is notoriously involved in a loveless marriage. She was sold off as like a teenager, and like her and her husband don't interact with each other. So she's starved for attention. And Julian's like, you're beautiful. And all the women want the mysterious guy next to the show off like me. So it's fine. And Carol kind of leans into it. He's like, you know what? We're in Russia. Julian said he spoke Russian with that beautiful man whose name was Sasya. And he starts to do some digging. He's like, I'm in Russia. I should like find this guy. He must be here. He must have like left and come here. Mm-hmm. And so he's looking around and he's asking Madame Rambouillet, he's like, oh, you know, have you ever heard of this name? And she freezes, and you can tell she's not being honest. She's like, nope, never heard of it. Sorry, unfamiliar. And he just kind of brushes it off, but he's exploring around their palace, and he's like, oh, what is this? And there's like a beautiful ballet studio in the palace. And she goes, oh, my husband, he sponsors the Russian ballet, and, you know, it's extremely important to him. Actually, like so much so that the dancers for the Russian ballet have like living quarters here and they can stay here. So he starts exploring through the men's quarters and he finds Sasya's picture in one of the rooms. And he's like, he's here. He's here, or he's linked to here, or whatever else. And he kind of schmoozes Madame Rambouillet. He goes, you have to take me to the ballet with you. Because, you know, you said your husband won't take you. Like, I'll go with you. And they go to this ballet, and the entire time he's just like little goggles looking to see if he can find Sasya on the stage. Even goes so far as to be like, oh, I loved this performance. I have to go congratulate all the ballet dancers. He's just trying to look through the whole company to see if Sasya's there. And he mentions the name. He's like, Sasya? But again, his Russian is terrible.
Yeah.
And so he's asking Madame Rambouillet to translate for him what the director of the ballet is saying. And what he said was, it's a very common name. We have 4 people here with that name right now. And we did have 5, but one of them fled. And they're not working with us anymore. We're actually trying to look for them. And when he asks for the translation, Madame Rambouillet says, he says there's no one in the ballet by that name. So Carol automatically doesn't believe it. He realizes that the Duchess is trying to come on to him, and he's not about it. His head is completely elsewhere. He is like head over heels at first sight for Sasya. And he decides, he's like, I need to go. I need to leave or do something or look for him. I don't even know where to go. Like, it's obvious he's not here anymore. So I feel like it's a dead end. And he gets back into the room and he's all sad. And Julian kind of just looks at him and goes, oh, is it about that guy again? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I kind of paid him off to leave us alone. And he feels guilty because they're like brothers. And Carol's like, you fucking idiot. How could you do that to me? And he's like, you're going to ruin your reputation. Like, you have a perfectly viable option with the Duchess. And he's like, who's already married? And he's like, yeah, but they don't love each other. And just kind of a lovable, spoiled rich brat. But Julian is like, fine, we'll go to Paris. I told him we were going to Paris. He told me he wanted to go to Paris. He'll probably be there. And Carol gets so excited. He's like, let's go. We're leaving in the morning. Like, we're not staying as guests here anymore. We got to go to Paris. And so he and Julian go to leave. And when they arrive in Paris, they're spending a bunch of time there, more than they had planned on their trip. And Carol is like, I don't think I'm going to find him. And he's just kind of drinking forlorn in a bar. This guy ends up coming up to him at the bar and he's like, hey, you know, how about you like come with me? I can make sure that you have like a really nice night. It's fine. And he's like, I'm not feeling good. Did you put something in my drink? My guy's like, no, I didn't put anything in your drink. Why would I put something in your drink? It's just because you're drinking alcohol. It's fine. So this man like takes him back to a room and there's somebody sleeping in the bed. And he goes to kick the person out and it's Sasha. And he is just beaten to a pulp.
Aww.
And Carol like comes to, like he's all groggy and shaky and he sees Sasha and he immediately just like hugs and clings onto him and he's like, Sasha, it's you. And Sasha's eyes like open super bright and he realizes that he's found him and then he slumps over because he's been drugged. And you see that when he comes to, him and Sasha are like hiding in this cellar of the same building that they had gone into. And Carol pays off the guy who had drugged him. Says like, take this money and let us go. He's like, oh, you're taking Sasha with you? You owe me even more money. And he just gives him everything he has. He's like, yes, he's coming with me. Thank you. So as that happens, you get to see everything from Sasha's perspective. He grew up as just this pretty poor child. He joined like one ballet class and was immediately looked at as like, you're perfect. You need to continue on with this ballet. You could be a part of the Russian ballet, which is huge. And, you know, you need to continue training. And his mom was just so terrified of him becoming famous and needing like grueling training that was going to cost a lot of money. And she forced him to stop. So he found like a private teacher and benefactor who ended up assaulting him later on and was kind of doing it for nefarious reasons. And Sasha was like, I never should have held on to this kindness. You find out that his parents were a part of a rebellion and they were all killed. And it was like the day that he felt like there was no more hope. And the person that he ran into first was Carol. And he was like, don't hold on to the kindness. It doesn't last. It's not real. And then he got the bath and he got to lay in like a clean, warm bed and he didn't have somebody who assaulted him. And he's like, oh no, I love this person. I don't know his name. I'll never know his name because I was just paid off to never see him again. And then by some fate, they come back together. And that's where I've left off so far. 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. The story, the characters, the design, the art, everything is perfect. And I could have continued reading it literally all night. So, highly recommend Solo for 2.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that sounds really good.
I know. Completed 80 episodes. It's pretty great.
Oh yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. So I'm going to have to read the whole thing, I guess.
I mean, that is the goal.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the next one that I have is called Enid. I was really excited to get this one. This is Egyptian gods. And I mean, with my love of all things Greek gods, I thought that this would be a nice little transition to a different deity.
Nice little detour.
Yeah, a little detour. I absolutely love this one so far. So online, this is on Tappy Toon. There are 112 episodes out right now. It's a fantasy boy love. I actually have the physical copies of it, and I made it 124 pages in. It's not the exact same, you know, I don't know the episode number, but the first section is the prologue, and this is all about the history of the gods and how the Ennead was created. So the Ennead is 9 gods who come together to kind of like create the world and hold the world together. So we have the sun god who birthed themselves, they say, and then birthed basically everyone else. So
which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, the sun god came first. And then we have from the sun god, who is Ra, we have Shu, who's the god of air, Tefnut, who's the god of moisture, Beset, who's the god of abundance and fertility, Hathor, who is the god of love and beauty, Mat, who's the god of truth and justice, and Sekhmet, who is the god of destruction. So those are all the children of the sun.
Okay.
And then from there, very similar to Greek mythology, we have the children who have fallen in love with each other.
Unfortunately, common trope in mythology. What can we do?
Very common. So then we have Geb and Newt. And Geb is the god of the earth. Newt is the god of the sky. And they want to have children. They do have children. So they have Osiris, who's the god of life. Isis, who's the god of magic. Seth, who's the god of war. And Nephthys, who's the god of harmony and peace. So, now we're at that level. Mm-hmm. From there, Osiris and Isis, they also fell in love. We're keeping the tradition going.
Keeping it in the family, unfortunately.
Keeping it in the family. They have a son named Horus, and Seth and Nephthys, they have a son named Anubis.
Okay.
That's all good and dandy.
Is it?
I mean, that's the Aeneid.
Okay.
So.
The end. The story's done, actually.
The end. That's it. You don't need any more. Read only the first half of the first book.
There you go.
So, from here, though, there's like, all the different myths and legends and things that go about the sun god gets jealous of people and doesn't let Geb and Newt have children originally, but then they win a bet, and so they're able to have children for 4 days, and that's when they have all their children.
Typical mythology.
Yeah. So then Seth, who is the god of war, he's like, you know what? I'm going to take down Osiris. Mm-hmm. And he cuts Osiris up into 9 pieces and throws his body into the Nile River.
Well, that's a choice.
Yes, it is. It's a choice that he made. And he was also like, I also would really, really love it if Isis, my sister, would come and be my wife and, be with me.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, thank you.
Nah, I'm good.
I'd like my other brother, Osiris, please.
Well, she's got choices, I guess.
Yeah. So she says no thank you, but it doesn't really matter because he's taken over. So because Isis finds out that Osiris has been cut up into 9 pieces and dumped in the Nile River, she dries up the Nile River, which is a crime. So then she is punished by being put in a labyrinth. Okay. So Sekhmet then takes pity on Isis, who's in the labyrinth, and is like, here's how you get out of the labyrinth. And then Isis gets out of the labyrinth, goes back, finds all of the pieces of Osiris, puts him back together. But unfortunately, it's too late. He's been gone for too long, and so now he's officially the god of the dead. So, Seth is still the ruler of all of humanity.
I don't know why you say Seth, and I hear it like among all the other names.
I know.
And it's like one of these things is not like the other. I'm just imagining like Seth Green. Like everyone else, typical Egyptian god. And then there's Seth Green, and I'm like, what is he doing here?
Yeah, I agree, but
it's throwing me off.
He's chaos, so it's fitting.
Yeah.
He's kind of crazy. A little bit, a lot. And so that's all the prologue that we get. And then after that, we see that Seth has captured Isis because Osiris is still not around. And Horus is coming to, like, protect her and, like, help her escape. And Seth, being the god of war, he wants people to battle. So he's, like, watching people battle. He's kind of destroyed humanity. He's made it so that, like, people don't show kindness to each other, don't rely on each other. So he's pushed everyone from, like,
against each other.
Yeah, pushed everyone against each other, taken the prosperity and just, like, brought it all the way down for everyone. And so he's not doing so great as a leader. But the rest of the gods are not able to take on Seth. So they're just kind of watching the world be destructed.
They're like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. And humanity is just suffering for it. So then Seth, he's sitting on his high throne. He's got all of these people coming out, and he's having people battle each other. And Horus comes out, and he's like, I'm going to take you on. And then Isis comes behind him and is going to slit his throat. They have their little conversation. Seth is like, how dare you have a child with someone else that's not me, which is Horus. And they have a big battle. Horus stabs Seth in the chest and, like, slices him open. But it's like, then he becomes sand. And he's still, the sword doesn't hurt him. He's a deity. So he just transforms into a different, like,
vessel.
Yeah, vessel at this point. And so right now, Horus is trying to fight Seth. Seth is being brought to trial for all of his sins against humanity because he has destroyed the world for his own purposes. And they're saying, like, you did all of this horrible stuff, now you must pay. This one is absolutely gorgeous art. The cover image on Tappytoon drew my attention a while ago. And then when we went to the bookstore, we saw the books. I avoided buying them for a while because I did want the hardcover ones, and there are a lot of them. I did cave last time I went and buy the first 3, so I will continue to buy these.
Not that you'll have much of a choice.
I mean, I have to now. I've committed at this point.
Yeah.
They're so pretty. I love the story. I mean, it is a lot of names and learning that you have to take in the beginning, but I feel like once you understand the mythology behind everything, that the actual story itself is going to get really, like, interesting after this. So I love it. It's just like a different Lore Olympus for me.
Yeah, I will say you have so much patience for all those stories that juggle different characters, but I think that this is gonna really, like, lend to you its favor just because it's all of the mythos, and you do love that.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah. If you have the patience to learn all the names and all of the background information, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. So the last one that I read today is the one that had me the most excited. This is The Hounds of Sisyphus. It's no question as to why I was excited. It's the same creator as Dangerous Convenience Store. We already know we loved, but it is a very different take from them. So you have kind of fluffy gangster story. This is Boy Love Apocalypse. So
I love an apocalypse story.
I mean, it opened up with a zombie, and I was like, Alex is going to jump on this one too. It's also only 9 episodes in so far, so it's going to be a pretty quick one to catch up on.
Yeah.
The episodes are pretty hefty, so, like, there is a lot of content, but I mean, hard to argue with. It's perfect so far. So the story opens up, and you see just this random man in a parking garage. He's kind of walking around late at night, and he's like, oh gosh, like, did I step in a puddle or something and ruin my shoes? And he turns on his flashlight, and it's just a puddle of blood. And he screams, and then you don't see him anymore. And you start to hear from, like, all of these different sources that people are listening to a news broadcast, and it's like breaking news. You know, a man was found dead at a parking garage. He threw himself off the building. However, when police were looking back at security cameras, it looks like he died and his body was moved, but no one was there moving him. So they're trying to figure out what this invisible entity is that moved his body. And people are like, oh, brother, like another scam thing that they're showing on the news. Don't listen to that bull crap or whatever. And people are turning it off and kind of ignoring it. And then there starts to be this sudden surge in people who are dying and come back to life. So it starts with this kid in a hospital, and, you know, he's pronounced dead. And then within a few hours, he sits up and he's like screaming, laughing.
Oh, that's creepy.
And then it's just happening everywhere, all over the world. People start coming back. And at first, there's really mixed reviews. People are like, does that mean that you never really die? Like, does this mean that you get to go on forever? It's just a different way of life. Like, what does this mean for us? Others are obviously terrified because your body is still decayed for however long you were dead before you revive yourself. So some people are looking pretty gnarly. They're not acting quite the same. And ultimately, it's just freaky. And everyone's like, well, I mean, it's mixed reviews. They're not like eating anybody, but you know, it's undead. Like it's obvious that they were not alive.
It sounds more like a traditional zombie than a modern zombie, which is from Haitian culture where the fear was to be brought back from the dead as a zombie to be a slave. So it wasn't like, I'm a zombie, I'm going to eat you. It was that I'm just brought back to life. But in this case, it was I'm brought back to life to serve someone else.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that unknown.
Yeah.
Like, this is all happening and people are watching it in real time and trying to figure out the purpose behind everything without recognizing maybe there's not one. So, you know, you see just everybody in the world is really conflicted on what this means. And while all this is happening, it then progresses even further and the world just starts collapsing. Everything's in flames. It's just absolute chaos. So it does lean into it. And it's like there are some people who have prayed for the downfall and destruction of the world. So unfortunately, there are people who are thriving in this situation. There's still people who realize that the world is getting destroyed anyways. So I can lean into my darkest desires, and that's fine. And that's where we meet our main character, Jinwoo. He's laying on the ground of his apartment. His head has been bashed in, and he's really on the brink of death. And there are robbers who are coming in to try to loot his house. And they're like, we should just kill him. Like having a conversation he can kind of hear in the background. And he's just accepted that this is how his life is going to be. He's like, I'm not going to live very long. Are you kidding me? Like, look at everything that's going around. However, we do meet our wonderful character, Gyuan, who is now going to live rent-free in my head forever. He is just absolutely gorgeous. He is seemingly undead. He's got like blackened arms and a torso. His neck looks like it was stitched. So like his head was stitched back on, kind of Frankenstein style. And if anyone has already read Dangerous Convenience Store, just think like unhinged version of Jianu.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I saw the cover.
Oh my God, he is just chef's kiss. So Gyuan does walk in. He immediately sees the robbers who are about to bash in Jinwoo's head, and he kills them first, smiling the whole way. He's having a great time. He's planning on doing the exact same thing. It seems like he was just planning on eliminating his competition. And when he leans down, he's like, oh, you're still alive. That's crazy. And he goes to walk over him. Jinwoo pleads with him, and he's like, save me. And Gyuan's like, I don't do that shit for free. He's like, what do you have to offer me? And Jinwoo's like, I'm literally dying. Like, he's like, I can barely utter words right now. So Gyuan is looking around the apartment. He's like, I mean, if you have nothing, I don't know about that. And he's like, what's your name? And he's able to like mutter out Jinwoo. And Gyuan sees that there's a diploma on the ground in all of the rubble. And it shows that Jinwoo is certified as an elementary school teacher. And he looks over at Jinwoo. He's like, man, there's like not a whole lot in this apartment. And he's walking over to Jinwoo, who's just accepted death at this point. He's like, yeah, I have nothing to offer him. It's the fucking apocalypse. Like, I have nothing. And Gyuan scoops him up and he's like, I didn't know you were a teacher. You should have said so in the first place. And he swoops him up and he saves him. So he takes him back, and as they're driving, he nods off multiple times, but Gyuan's getting him water and like trying to get him treated on the way. And they get to this location where these gates open up, and it is like a world apart. Like Jinwoo's pretty much convinced that he's gone to heaven because it's beautiful flowered green fields, a giant mansion, and like complex in the middle of nowhere in these woods. And you find out that this place has been untouched by the apocalypse. No one's really sure why. It's just a complex that was owned by this rich family. They had like spent all this money to keep it solar power generated. And it was set up to be self-sufficient, and it's survived all of the carnage. And it's untouched by man, really, because the rich family used it as a vacation home and they never touched it. Mm-hmm. So Jinwoo is taken there by Yuan. He takes him to the doctor that lives there, and he's like, hey, fix him up, doc. And the doctor kind of gives him the lowdown of like, we're trying to kind of build our own world from scratch. Like find people who are useful for our cause, who kind of round out the community here and build a new world since the one outside these walls is failing.
Yeah.
So the doctor, funny enough, has like a doctor's jacket on, but it says veterinarian. And he does kind of warn Jinwoo. He's like, keep yourself as someone who's valuable. Like, make sure that if anyone asks, he says, like, oh, Jinwoo, you're an elementary school teacher. You know, Yuan was telling me. And Jinwoo's like, well, I have a degree in it, but I've never actually taught elementary school classes. And he's like, don't say that. Yeah. Yes, you did. As far as anyone's concerned, you're a teacher full on. So they take him to his own residence. He gets to stay there. And you find out that Yuan's kind of the boss and the mastermind behind all of this. And so he kind of goes into his residence and nods off, and he sees that Yuan's trying to wake him up. He can like hear his voice in the background. And when he wakes up, he's holding Yuan at knife point and has like cut his hand open because Yuan's like holding the knife to keep himself from getting stabbed. Mm-hmm. And Jinwoo's so apologetic. He's like, great. I found out that if I'm not useful, I'm going to be offed basically. And now I just tried to kill the person who brought me here. And Yuan's like, you're fine. I don't care. Not a big deal. It happens all the time. And Jinwoo starts to have an absolute panic attack. And Yuan's like, oh, I just have to give you that one thing that like keeps people alive. And then he gives him like CPR while he's alive. And Jinwoo's like, I'm okay now. You can leave me alone. I was just panicking.
Does he know that that's...
No.
Okay.
It's insinuated. He's just a lovable idiot. And honestly, I like that. So Yuan is really sweet. He sees that Jinwoo's having a hard time walking because he has an injury to his ankle. So he finds a wheelchair and he ends up pushing him around and taking him out for a walk through the complex. And Jinwoo's just really taken aback by the beauty of everything and still can't even really believe it's real. And Yuan's like, I just have a lot of hope for this place. Like, I like coming out here. It's great to see that things look different. And I was really hopeful that like we can start fresh, you know, because things are kind of like crazy, and downplays it a lot, obviously. But he takes him to this other area of the complex where Jinwoo meets all of the students he's going to be teaching. And it's 3 little kids that were taken in because it's insinuated that their family unfortunately succumbed to all of the carnage.
Yeah.
And Yuan took them in and he's like, oh, they need a teacher. So yeah, like this is Jinwoo. He's going to teach you. So Jinwoo has the students take the test and he's like, I just want to like gauge where you're starting with your knowledge. And for funsie, he hands over the test. He's like, Yuan, you could take the test too. And so all the kids test really well. They're doing great. And where we left off, he gets Yuan's test back and he got a 15 out of 100.
Oh no. That explains the CPR thing a little bit.
Yeah. And Jinwoo's like, I think he's the one who needs the teacher. This is only like 4 episodes in. I love this story so much. Kind of love that it seems to be like a zombie romance.
I love that.
And we're just going to see where it goes. But yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, what can you expect from the creator of the Dangerous Convenience Store?
Nothing but perfection.
Yeah.
You know, no pressure or anything.
Well, it sounds like it's off to a great start. The last one that I have for us today is Wind Beneath My Wings. This is one that was not on my radar. It was on yours. And it's on Leeson, 58 episodes. It's a Monday release, so it's still ongoing. And this is a rebirth, memory loss, master servant, boy love.
Mouthful.
It's a mouthful. So I started this one off, got a little confused in a couple of spots.
Really? Do you want to elaborate further?
I don't think I do.
Oh, okay.
Maybe once I get there. But we start off and we see a guy named Sioha. And he is just going up to this other guy and kind of negotiating with him and saying, like, I'll do anything that you ask, but don't take my gloves off.
Okay.
And then we see a flashback and we see that there is a battle going on. There's, like, some giant monster who has gotten in to the Forest of the Wind. Mm-hmm. And this is a heavenly realm. And Sioha is actually a guy named Hearth. And Hearth is a servant for the heir of the Wind Forest. Mm-hmm. His name is Shane. And so Shane gets injured in this battle. Mm-hmm. And Hearth, he also gets his arm cut off. And so Hearth gets punished because he allowed harm to come to his master, Shane. Mm-hmm. And so his punishment is that he has to be reborn as a human. He has to live at least 3 lives as a human. He has to demonstrate his virtue.
Okay.
And once he does that, he can go back to the Forest of the Wind. Mm-hmm. So Shane is kind of distraught. He's like, I don't want you to leave. It's his companion. Yeah. And he's a, like, younger guy. It does, like, I don't know how old he is. He doesn't look like an adult at this point. Mm-hmm. And Hearth is kind of his servant, protector, everything, companion, all of that. And so Hearth says, you just stay here, focus on you, grow up, and I promise I'll come back to you. And so then Hearth leaves. He's gone and reborn. And so then we cut back to Hearth as Sioha. Mm-hmm. And Sioha has no memory of his past as Hearth. He doesn't remember being in the heavenly realm. He doesn't remember Shane. He doesn't remember anything about this. But he feels like he's cursed. He wears gloves all the time and he doesn't want anyone to touch him. He doesn't want to be touched because he feels like he causes trouble. Mm-hmm. You also see a picture of his sister who has, like, a giant scar down her leg, and he has flashbacks of not being able to reach her in time. So it's insinuated that she was in some sort of accident and he wasn't able to help her. Mm-hmm. And so he goes back to live with his grandma, and his grandma lives in this giant house. And so he left his job in the city and moved back home and is starting to live with her. The grandma's like, why did you come here? You're so young. You need to be out and about. And he's like, no, I just want to stay here and help you. And you need someone to help take care of this place.
Very Kim Dan vibes.
Yeah.
From Jinx.
I'm going to say yeah, but I haven't read Jinx, so I don't know.
And I don't know whether or not to recommend it.
But the grandma says, okay, also, because we have the space, we're going to have someone move in with us. So we're getting a new resident, just so you know. And so then Sioha goes and has a dream. Mm-hmm. And in this dream, Shane comes to him. And it's not actually a dream. Shane really does come to him, but he thinks it's a dream. Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of freaking out. He tells his friend Hooney about this dream. Mm-hmm. And Hooney is the one who I thought was a dog.
Why do you think Hooney was a dog?
Because in the bubble, he was talking to 2 dogs. And so I thought that he was just talking to dogs.
He has superpowers.
They were not clear that there was a human with the dogs.
I can see the confusion. It's just so funny that was immediately where your mind went to.
Well, I mean, there's other supernatural stuff. Shane is, like, part bird, so...
So, I mean, come on. That's really not the most ridiculous thing of it all.
Yeah. So, anyway, he goes to Hooney, and he's like, I had this crazy dream, and Hooney's like, yeah, I think, that's weird. I think you're just, having a moment. Mm-hmm. So he's like, great, that was not helpful at all.
Yeah, he's like, Sioha, it's almost like you thought you could talk to dogs. Chill out, okay?
Okay, no one can talk to dogs.
I mean, he might have been talking to the dogs. They're just not going to talk back.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't seem to understand. So Sioha goes back home and he's talking to his grandma, and their new resident comes in, and it's the same person from his dream. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
He looks weird and he talks weird.
Yeah.
And the reason he looks weird, they say, is because he's wearing an open back shirt. And they're like, who would wear that?
I feel personally attacked.
You love an open back shirt.
I love an open back shirt. What a statement.
Yeah. So he agrees. Mm-hmm. Shane does. The rest of the people don't agree. They're like, that's weird.
God, what a weirdo.
What a weirdo with that open back shirt.
Yeah, I've definitely never done that myself.
And so immediately, though, Shane is talking to Sioha as Hearth. And calls him Hearth and says, like, you belong to me, and why did you never come back to me? And you should have been trying harder to be more virtuous so that you could return to me. And Sioha's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but please leave me alone. And he goes to talk to his grandma. He's like, Grandma, do not let this man stay with us. He's kind of crazy. And the grandma's like, well, if he can pay the rent, he's gonna stay here. And Shane is like, oh, I have to pay? So he doesn't have any money. But what he does have are a bunch of heavenly jewels. Just like giant diamonds, emeralds, all of this, just jewels.
He's like, hey, Grandma, will this work?
He does. He says, here, have all of these jewels. And the grandma's like, great, you can stay here. Shane says in his contract, like, yes, I want to stay here, but also I want your grandson to be my companion and to show me around and to take care of me. So the grandma works that into the contract for him.
She's like, hey, Sioha, you want to be here and help out your granny? Let's make some dough off this rich, weird guy.
Yeah. And so she signs the contract for him.
So nice.
Yeah. And then she goes on vacation. She leaves him a note and says, don't worry, I took care of the jewels. I'm on vacation. Take care of this guy.
You know what? Granny, new favorite character.
Oh my God, you'll love her.
She's my spirit animal.
She's super tiny, super cute, and just like absolutely out of it.
I love that for her.
I love it. It's so great. So then Shane goes back to Sioha and is like, all right, here's the deal. You're going to take care of me because I want you back in the heavenly realm. And clearly, the way for you to demonstrate your virtue is to be my servant again. So you're going to be my servant here. And Sioha's kind of arguing with him and saying like, okay, look, it's my job to bring you meals and to make sure that the gardens look nice for you and to clean the house. But that's it. I'm not doing anything else. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. My bet, 5 more episodes.
So Shane also has this kind of, it looks like a bird, could be a stuffed animal bird, could be just like a cute fluffy bird, but really it's his assistant Siren, who in the heavenly realm was a person, is now this bird. Mm-hmm. And so Siren seems to be like a shifter, like a bird shifter.
I was like, did Shane make him turn into a bird? Because he's like, look, they're only going to let one person stay here. It's going to be too suspicious.
No, it's so funny because Siren just sits on his shoulder. But then as soon as the contract sign, Siren is just following Sioha around and telling Sioha how best to take care of Shane. And
in his bird form?
In the bird form, yeah.
So it is not outrageous for him to be talking to dogs.
Thank you.
Who's to say that actually wasn't what he was doing in the first place?
You know what? Maybe it is.
Maybe the person can't understand him.
That could be. So where I'm at right now is Siren has said, okay, you've got to get breakfast ready for Shane. So like, get to it. Mm-hmm. And so Sioha like cuts him up some fruit, brings the fruit up for breakfast. And Shane is like, you don't have any fish? Not even a frog.
Ew.
Because he's a bird.
Well, yeah.
And that's where I've left off. So far, I'm loving this one.
I'm so glad.
It seems like it's going to be really good. It did take me a minute. There were a couple of points where I was confused. The dog.
As we've touched on already, the dogs can't talk.
Yeah. The fact that Seoha and Hearth were the same person did throw me off for a minute.
Okay.
But once I, like, read a couple of episodes in, it was, like, clear to follow the lines.
Yeah.
I think that this one's going to be really, really great. I love Siren. Siren is, like, my absolute favorite because Siren is just following him around telling him everything he's doing wrong.
I love the energy.
It's great. It's, like, honestly great energy. I think that you're going to love this one. It's really fun.
Well, I'm super happy that you've liked all the stories, especially since 2 of your 3 were not really on the radar for you. And I kind of forced them on you anyways.
I love them. And for you, how was it the same or was it opposite?
For me, 2 of the 3
were on your radar?
Yeah, they were on my radar.
So 4 of the stories we're reading were from you, 2 were from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll eventually get that TBR down.
We're working on it.
You know, it's hard when more stories get added to it, but who's to say?
But we're taking a break.
Yeah. We're taking our time. We're going to actually work down this TBR. All new stories that we've been wanting to read. It'll be great to have some focus.
Yeah.
So, I am looking forward to everything that this new initiative has in store for us.
Me too.
Thank you all so much for joining us in reading these stories. I am going to continue with all of them. They're perfect.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend that you do the same. But looking forward to talking to you all on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.